Good afternoon and welcome to National Black Child Development Week, Day 5. This is the finale. And I am Tobeka Green. I am the president and CEO of the National Black Child Development Institute. It is my honor to welcome some of you for the first time and others for the fifth time. We thank you for joining us, being with us all week. We're ending the week with a bang. And by that, as I speak, the National Black Child Development Institute is delivering 15,000 emergency food boxes to families in Chicago. And we're doing this in partnership with Trinity United Church of Christ. We are so grateful for that partnership and thankful that we could support 15,000 families in Chicago. National Black Child Development Week 2020 has been made possible through the generous support of the Doris Duke Charitable Foundation, the Walmart Foundation, and the W.K. Kellogg Foundation. As you all know, a production like this takes a team. And so I must start by shouting out my team of superstars at NBCDI. Thank you all for your partnership, for your support, for your dynamic work all week. I also send a special thank you to our director, Cheryl Gentry, and her team at Glow Media Global. Thank you, Cheryl and team. And lastly, thank you. And lastly, a special shout out and thank you to our producer of National Black Child Development Week 2020, Todd Beauchamp. Ty, thank you for your partnership. I now welcome our moderator, who is a superstar at the National Black Child Development Institute, Lindsay Bryant. As she comes forward, I remind you all that annually, during the second week of May, NBCDI draws the nation's attention to the incredible strengths, talents, brilliance, beauty, creativity of Black children, while also addressing the inequities that persist in their ecosystem. Today's conversation will focus on what works, and it promises to be amazing. Lindsay, take it away. Eunique, thank you for joining us.
Good afternoon. My name is Lindsay Bryant with the National Black Child Development Institute. Thank you for joining us for our virtual Q&A discussion, What's Working? A celebration of unity, the power of the family bond. This year, as a part of this year's National Black Child Development Week. This session features award-winning photographer, activist, and content creator, Eunique Jones Gibson. Eunique is the founder and creator of Because of Them We Can, a campaign on a multimedia platform that reaches millions of people monthly with content that amplifies positive Black news. In 2018, Eunique opened a physical space in Hyattsville, Maryland, for like-minded individuals to build their dreams and their village called Dream Village. Most recently, Eunique created Culture Tags, a spirited game that tests how well you know the culture. Eunique is an Ad Color rock star, a Route 100 honoree, and a White House champion of change, whose work has been featured on websites such as the Huffington Post, BuzzFeed, Rolling Out, the Washington Post, and Essence.com, among many other print and internet publications. Please welcome Eunique Jones Gibson.
Thank you for having me, Lindsay.
Thank you. We're very excited to have you. So we're just going to jump right in. Like I said again, this conversation is called A Celebration of Unity, the Power of the Family Bond. And the first question is for us to just ask you to share a little bit about yourself, both personal and professional, with our audience.
Sure. So as stated, my name is Eunique Jones Gibson. I am a wife. I am a mother of 3 children, ages 11, 7, and 3. I am also an entrepreneur. I started my career in online advertising and marketing and used what I learned to create a platform by the name of Because of Them We Can. It is a platform that amplifies and curates content that is solely focused on positive Black news, whether it is influencer-based or everyday people. We believe that you don't have to be a celebrity to be celebrated. And then I also recently created a game by the name of Culture Tags, which is an extension of my desire to really bring culture and community together in positive ways.
So the next question we have kind of just dives right into COVID-19 and the pandemic. So we wanted to know, during this pandemic, both homeschooling and family bonding is occurring. Can you tell us about how Because of Them We Can, the box, and culture tags, how they can impact each home across America?
Yes. So, because of the wecan.com and the platform across social media, Instagram and Facebook has been leveraged to help parents reinforce the content that they may have been getting in school, learning about different African Americans and people within the Black community that are doing great things that these children should potentially know about. Also, the Because of Them We Can box. Every single month, we send the kids a box where they get to learn about icons, past and present, in the Black community that have done amazing things. And so, this last box, kids are learning about Reginald Lewis. The kids got a nice cozy robe, they got a money clip, really just trying to give them different artifacts and lessons within the form of a worksheet. We have a curriculum that we work with a curriculum specialist on to really just give them that sort of content on a consistent basis. And that's been very helpful in the absence of going into a physical location every single day. And then separately, we have culture tags, which is really about bringing the joy into our lives, right? COVID-19 is presenting uh, unprecedented stress and issues within our country and within our world. And what we find is an absence of relief, of hope, and of joy. And so culture tags is a way to bridge that gap and to help people infuse joy back into their daily lives, and to do it in a way where they're able to connect with their family and friends in the same way that we're doing right now across Zoom, and play a game and really just reminisce, right, and have a great time. And so we're seeing how those three platforms are being leveraged in a positive way.
That's great. That's exciting to hear. So given all the great things you've created and founded, we want to know, was there a particular moment or memory that stood out for you in your decision to create and build these brands and campaigns? And have you developed, that you've developed to kind of celebrate and uplift the Black community? So, and also, do you think that the public was responsive to your creations?
Yeah, so I think there are a series of moments, right? So the first series of moments started in my household as a kid growing up. I was raised in our household, my sister and I, every single day. My father told my sister and I that we were beautiful, that we were intelligent, that we were worthy, that we were special. And he told us this, and he would say that you were made in the image and the likeness of God. And so every single day I had that reinforcement. Every single day my dad told me he loved me, because he didn't want the first time that I heard it to be from some stranger or a man that I didn't know, right, or that I was getting to know out in the universe. And so having that positive reinforcement as a child from a very early age really built my confidence, but also helped me to understand when I interacted with my peers that everybody didn't benefit from that type of positive reinforcement. Everybody didn't have somebody pouring into them in the same way that my parents poured into me. And even separate from that, even if they did, I understood very early on that the world did not embrace me in the same way that my parents did. And so having that knowledge, having a gift to see things from a creative perspective, always knew that my purpose was to shine light and to be positive and to help people to see and to be their best selves. I would say, as far as moments when it comes to Because of Them We Can, my moment was really when Trayvon Martin was murdered. That really moved me to a position of activism when it came to leveraging my art to refute stereotypes and to really take an aggressive approach to really help to show young people that you're amazing, right? That we deserve to be here, that what's happening to us isn't normal, isn't acceptable. And that kind of grew and evolved. And in February 2013, when I started thinking about Black History Month, I thought about this way to really embrace young people even more, but in a way to build the self-esteem bubble by helping them to understand who they are and whose they are. And so those were probably my moments. As far as how the public or how people have responded, when I initially launched Because When We Can, it was supposed to be a 28-day campaign. Here we are, almost 8 years later. I'm here because people have embraced it. I'm here because there are parents that felt like me, who felt like there wasn't enough content, there wasn't enough out in the universe to share with their children, that the headlines were false, that the narratives that were being portrayed were inaccurate. And so that's evident that that's the reason why Because and We Can still exist. And so the reception has been great. And even to culture tags, again, like I'm all about the culture. Everything that I do is for the culture, and people have been very responsive and receptive. And I think it's because I pay attention and I really just want us to look good.
So that also leads me to ask you, given that this was only meant to be a 28-day campaign, what was that process like to turn it into a campaign that's still ongoing and still very successful today?
Yeah. So it was about risk, right? So I remember at the end of February 2013, I was on the phone and I was doing an interview with Jackie Reed and Tom Joyner. And I remember Tom Joyner said, "You can't drop the mic. You have to keep this going." And without missing a beat, I had to respond to that, right? And so my immediate response was, I will, because I didn't give myself time to think through all the challenges or what it would require me to do to keep it going. And so I said yes before I knew how. And I think that oftentimes that's what risk taking is about. A lot of times, if we get an opportunity to think through the challenges, to think through the barriers, we'll talk ourselves out of a great opportunity, because when we add it up in our minds, it's just too much. And so I didn't have an opportunity to do that. I put my yes into the universe before I even shared it with my husband at our kitchen table. And so we had to think very quickly about what it required. It required me to resign from my position. And I still only thought, you know what, I'll do this for a year. We'll go on a shoestring budget. We'll do it this way. And then after a year, I'll go back into the advertising industry. And then what I realized is that I was still in the advertising industry, but I was advertising a more realistic depiction of who we are, right? And our potential and who we've always been. And so it was very scary. But again, my husband's very supportive. He worked with me to make sure that I had everything that I need, that our children had what they needed. And we've just been rocking like that ever since.
So, given what with COVID, you discussing being an entrepreneur and your family being very involved in your decisions, can you share your experience of being a wife, a mother, and an entrepreneur as well as influencer, and how these roles have shifted during the pandemic? As well as, do you have any advice for those who are struggling to find positivity and peace during this time?
Well, I'll tell you right now, I would love to have this conversation with you in my office where there's a beautiful backdrop, where I have like all my little bookshelves. But right now, I'm like in my bedroom. My door is locked. I've got pillows at the door at the bottom, so you can't hear my kids banging. And I'm sitting on my sofa in my bedroom. And so it has totally rocked what normalcy looks like, right? What routine looks like. And so my first priority is as a wife and as a mother. Nothing else matters to me. I said it recently that my KPIs, my key performance indicators, my stakeholders, my board of directors, that exists in this home, right? And so that's always been my priority. And so the shift there isn't really that different. The challenge though is now having to teach my kids, right? Like I don't get 8 hours where they're away and I get to kind of have conversations like this, or I get to work on projects. And so that has been challenging, but I'll say that we really let go of the expectations of others, right? We set an expectation and a standard in our home. We know what we want our children to learn, and they're getting some real life skills right now, just being home with us and being around us while we're building a business, while we're running a business, and while we're doing all sorts of other things. And I think that what's most important is that you find and you do what works for you. That you don't subscribe to what other people say you should be doing, or say your kids should be doing. That you find out what your mix is. And that's with anything, right? When we talk about work-life balance is relative, and I look at it the same way. My kids always necessarily start off with their classmates at 9 o'clock. They might start their routine at noon. On a typical situation, they might go to bed at 7:30, 8 o'clock. Nowadays, they might be in bed at 10 o'clock, but it's working for us. And that's because we're not holding ourselves to a standard that exists outside of our four walls. And I think as a business owner, or, entrepreneur, I'm just working a lot harder, actually. I wish I could say that things have calmed down. I've seen people say like, this has allowed folks to slow down. It's actually ramped us up even more. And so I feel like I'm getting less sleep now, but it ebbs and flows. And so we find our moments where we can kind of get a nap in or take a break. Or like I said, after we end this call, I'm going to act like I'm still on this call. I'm going to stay in this room for probably another 30 minutes while my kids are out and doing their work. And so you find what works for you, but it's been good for us. And it's really brought us together closer as a unit.
That's beautiful. So given that we won't be in COVID-19, we won't be in this pandemic forever, what would you say it's like juggling being a mother, a wife, and an entrepreneur on a typical day pre-COVID-19? And what advice would you give to those who are interested in starting their own business and, letting out their creative space to, build their brand as well? So what advice would you give them?
Yeah, I would say if you're interested in starting your own business, start, right? Be willing to fail, be willing to be embarrassed, be willing to be wrong, be willing to be disappointed, be willing to be heartbroken. If you can get that willingness, that alignment there, then start. I think that pre-COVID, I always include my children in what I'm doing. And so even before COVID-19, I was building culture brands, and I was working on culture brands, and I would have my kids help me with a pizza box, measuring out, because it was a large surface, measuring out what we thought specs should look like as far as the size of the cards for the game. And so my kids were always included in everything that I do, because they need to understand I was doing a lot of traveling. So if I'm not home because of that project that we were working on, or I'm not home because I want other little kids to feel like you feel when you look in the mirror. And so it's really about being very transparent and honest, and also helping them to understand that we're here to be in service, and we're here to use our gifts, and our gifts aren't supposed to remain in our four walls or in our city or in our state, and that we have to kind of go out and share whatever it is that our good news is. And so that's always been there. I will be honest and say that I've dealt with mom guilt a lot, just leaving my kids, right? Missing programs, missing honor roll assemblies. But again, my husband and I have done a good job to FaceTime me in to experiences, to FaceTime me into assembly, put me on mute, to screenshot different conversations if we're FaceTime. And I think that you really just have to leverage technology as much as you can, and make sure that, again, when you're home, you're present. And that when you're not home, your kids understand why you aren't there, because you've included them in the process the entire time.
So, your husband's grandmother, who lives with you, recently had an unrelated COVID health scare. During COVID, but thankfully she's home now. Do you have any words of encouragement for families who are going through something similar, or maybe taking care of elderly family members during COVID?
Yeah, I would say it was very challenging for us, because for some reason, anytime you have an elderly person in the hospital, I feel like you always, I know for me with my grandparents, when they were in the hospital, my family, we were there. Did you do this? Did you do that? Well, asking lots of questions and making sure that the medical professionals knew that they had a very engaged and concerned support system. With COVID, that goes away. That went away because we couldn't be there physically. And so I found myself on the phone a lot, really advocating for my husband's grandmother. She ended up having her sugar went too low and something happened. She had pneumonia, but long story short, she was having a twitch in her face that was affecting her brain and her ability to speak and eat. And the twitches were seizures, but once they controlled them, she was able to return to her normal state. However, they didn't want to give her time to recover. They were very quick to offer comfort care and hospice. And it took us advocating very hard and going to social media and making it very clear that even though we aren't there, she does have a support system. She does have people who care about her, who love her. And don't get it twisted, just because we can't come in the hospital, we're here. And I think that that's what everybody has to do. If you have a loved one, if you have an elderly person who has to go into the hospital, I call every single morning. Every morning at 9 o'clock, I would talk to the nurse and say, hi, are you the nurse that's on from 7 to 7? Okay, great. What's your name? Okay, great. Here's who I am. And I just developed a relationship with them. She was there for 3 weeks. And so I did that every morning. I did that every night. And you have to be very adamant and very consistent. And you can't leave anything to chance because there's just so much going on and so many different needs, and they're overwhelmed. So she's home. She's doing great. She's recovering, but I definitely had to stay on top of her care as much as I would have if I was there physically, if not more. So I would be doing that.
That's great. We're glad to hear that she's home and, feeling much better. So at least it's a positive ending to such, fiasco going on now. So the next question that is, what's working is a subject matter of NBCDW, where we will be highlighting positive stories and spotlighting those in the Black community. They're doing great things, but perhaps not receiving that attention that they deserve. It's a platform that shines light on these stories and individuals. So we would love for you to share 3 of the most recent stories or individuals that you think deserve a moment to shine.
Oh wow, 3 of the most recent stories or individuals that that's a great question.
Here's a small number.
So a brother by the name a brother listen, a brother by the name of Purnell, I think his name is Caesar. Purnell has a Black owned coffee company that everyone should know about. It's called Black and Bold. He recently got distribution, I believe, in Whole Foods. He's in Amazon. He's also in Target. I think that Purnell's story is an amazing one. You can go to the Because Then We Can page and see more about him, but I think he has a story that's important. Hold on one second. I'm like, let me just check my feed really quickly. I wasn't expecting that one. Let me think. Another a brother by the name of Azel Prather Jr. He goes by the name of Hale Zell. He's a kindergarten teacher, Black male kindergarten teacher. And a while ago, he did this self-care day for his students. But in the absence of being able to go into the classroom, he's been hosting like Zoom sessions with his kids, and doing like little drive-bys, not going up to them, keeping a safe distance, but just going by and waving and letting them know that he's still there for them, that he cares for them. I mean, that he thinks that they're special. I think that he's a brother that everyone should know about, Azel Prather Jr. And then let's see. There are a number of seniors that I won't call out any particular one, but there are a number of high school seniors who are graduating, who have stayed the course, even with everything going on. And they have a lot of amazing success stories. We posted a brother the other day who had a 5.6 GPA. We posted twin sisters who had a 4.1 identical GPA, 4.1 GPA out of Mississippi. And then there's a father who recently, his daughter graduated from Xavier University, couldn't have a graduation, obviously. And so this brother created a stage in his driveway, put a backdrop up, put on his regalia, and hosted a graduation ceremony for his daughter in the driveway, and did a program and everything. And that's on the site as well, because when we came back, I thought that story was amazing because it just showed undefeated and that we will not let anything get in the way of our ability to scream and root for our baby's name when they walk across that stage. So check him out too.
Thank you. No, thank you for sharing that. Definitely, I hope everyone gets a chance to check them out. I know I'll be checking them out. So the next question is not more so a question, but it's a way to get our audience to become interactive and get involved in this conversation and kind of participate in some of the work that you're doing. So we're asking the participants to tune in through the chat and play a quick round of culture tags. This will give the participants a glimpse of why they need to play culture tags, why they need to purchase it, and why they need it for their next family game night.
I love this part of the conversation, and you can purchase it at culturetags.com. Should I go ahead and start?
Well, yeah, I'm going to make sure everyone.
All right, so we're looking to the comments.
In the chat box, and when she posts up the card, we are giving everyone the opportunity to interact and guess what the hashtag is.
All right, you ready?
Yep.
So this category is family and friends. This is a question you might ask when you go to a cookout and you're getting ready to go eat a specific dish of food. This is the question you might ask either before you get it or after you tasted it. Maybe because it tastes so amazing, or maybe the mayonnaise or something is a little off. And so this is the question. Absolutely. I see the comments. Who made the potato salad? All right. Let's do another one. This is something, family and friends category. This is something I know whenever I ask, whenever my mother would tell me no, and then I would say why, this would be her response as a kid. If I do it with my kids now, if I tell them no and they say why, absolutely, I said so. All right, that's good. That's good. Let's do another one. This is something that this family category, when you let's say if you catch somebody in a situation and you ask them how did things go on that way, this might be how they start to describe the story. This might be how they start talking about how I see Jill, what had happened was. All right, two more. We do two more. Let's see. All right. All right. This is something. This is like a still family and friends, but this is like a saying that really your parents might say this to you when it comes down to speaking for asking for what it is that you want. And if you don't ask for what you want, this might be the response you get. This is the response you get when it comes to like not speaking up. Jill, you better go buy this game. You are on top of it. Closed mouths don't get fed. All right, last two. Riding in the cars, let's say you're out and somebody wants to go to a restaurant, or let's say you want to go to a fast food space, or your kid asks to go out to eat. This might be the response you give them why you're not going out to eat. Yes, Rob, because we got food at home. All right, last one. This is a hard one. I saved the hard one for last. This is something that you might say to someone when you're having a conversation and they're trying to be nosy, and they try to act like they try to get into your conversation, and then they say the wrong thing. This is a response you might give them. Nope, it's not. Ain't nobody got time for that. Cory Booker said this during the debates, and he messed it up. He said it all wrong. Absolutely, Myron. It's all in the Kool-Aid, and you don't know the flavor. So 350 cards in this box, 5 blank cards. You can play it on Zoom. You all see us doing it. You can buy it at culturetags.com. Culturetags.com. Made by a Black woman.
Everyone
and her babies.
In that game. Definitely fun. And playing it just by via chat was a good time. So I can't imagine playing it with your friends and family on game night.
Absolutely. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. So thank you.
So definitely after even playing this, it made me kind of think of the question, what was the process of getting all these sayings together and like developing all these cards to create a full game with tags and hashtags for the culture?
Yeah. So when iPad then Hello?
Okay, I can hear you.
Can you hear me? Sorry about that. So the process was really simple. Once my friend Lovey was like, "You got to turn this into a game," and so I had an iPad when I was doing a lot of traveling, and I would just take my iPad with me. I started an Excel spreadsheet, and I would just like type in anytime someone said something. So let's say I was talking to my dad. He's like, "You know what, Unique? At the end of the day," and I'm like, oh, "At the end of the day," and then I would just write the acronym or any conversation. I couldn't have a conversation with anyone for like two because every time someone said something, I'm like, we do say that, don't we? And I would just go ahead and I would type the acronym in. And so I did that for a few weeks until I got to maybe like 400. And then I looked and I was like, well, what is it about these? Then I was like, okay, great. Now I need to categorize them, right? And so we have categories like film and TV, songs and lyrics, family and friends, words to live by, church, family and friends. And so I went and categorized them. And then I got a chance to test it out during the holidays. I went and I printed a deck at like with a friend who has a commercial printer, and I got to test it out. But the process was it was just a matter of paying attention, right? Like we are amazing. We have our own, this is like our version of like a pig Latin, right? It's another language. And so yeah, I just paid attention and put them all in a spreadsheet, organized it, and then the more I thought about it, the more I was able to visualize how we could play it.
So you've been developing like great pieces because of them we can the box and culture tags. These are great things for us to find positivity and find a bit of happiness during this time. What are some things that you're doing to find happiness as well as your children during this time?
We're playing culture tags. That's what we're doing. We're playing and selling culture tags. That's all we're doing. No, we're doing movie nights. We're enjoying one another company. My kids are really funny. We're giving them time to shine and to discover who they are. I have since started getting plants. I went from no plants to 35 plants is a problem. So I'm taking care of all these little plant babies, and that's giving me a lot of joy. I'm excited. I haven't killed a plant yet. I've had them for a couple of weeks now, a few weeks, and they all look good. And so that's been helping me out in a really good way. And then again, like we're playing culture tags, like we're consumers of our own product. We play culture tags a lot. And we come up with our own culture tags, and then we're doing things like this. All of it gives us joy. And it's, of course, as you know, important to find those outlets.
So we're going to take a moment to open the chat box again, or the Q&A actually. So we're going to ask everyone to go to the Q&A icon at the bottom center of their screen and ask unique questions that you know want answered that might not have been answered here, or maybe questions that you developed after going through this conversation with Unique.
No questions?
The questions. Let's see.
Other than where can we get the game at culturetags.com? Um, okay. All right. I see questions now. Should I go ahead and call the question out when I see
Yeah.
it? You want to call it out? How do you want to
I'll
do
call
it?
it out. So we have a question from Ty, which is, why do you think entrepreneurship is so important?
Yeah. I think that entrepreneurship, so I don't think that entrepreneurship is for everyone. Let me say that first. I think that for some reason everyone wants to like there's a pressure, almost like this pressure that everyone has to be an entrepreneur, and I don't subscribe to that. But I think that if you feel like entrepreneurship is for you, that it is important. Somebody says I still sound a little wonky. Can you all hear me? Am I coming through okay? Do I need to like click out and click back in? Can you hear me, Lindsay?
Yeah, I can hear you. You sound good right now. Wait,
Okay,
now,
great.
now.
Yeah, I think okay. Yeah, I think that entrepreneurship is important if it's for you because it allows you to really chart your own path. It really allows you you all have a stakeholder or stakeholders, right? But it really allows you to be unleashed in your creativity and your decision making process, and really enjoy the fruits of your labor. When you work for someone else, you can enjoy the fruits of your labor, but somebody's going to enjoy them more than you are. And you're going to have to get approval from other people to do things. One of the things that I love is, you know what, culture tags is an idea. I'm going to make it. I don't have to go and ask someone, do you think this is a good idea? Like, do you approve of this? Like, the reason why I've been able to create so much is because I've said yes to myself. I haven't had to have any boss or person say, go do it. You can do it. And I think that's the biggest thing about entrepreneurship. You can just be free to create, to learn, and really experience your full potential if that's what you choose to do.
So the next
How
question
long have I
is,
been?
how long have you been married?
I have been married for 12 years. I've been married for 12 years, 12 happy years. So we've been rocking for 12 years.
Another question is, are you teaching your children entrepreneurship?
Um, yes, but yes, I am, because I'm including them in the process. They get to see what it's like to build business and to run a business with my husband and I. And so they're included in that process. They're in the warehouse, sweeping up trash. They're sealing envelopes. They're sticking labels on bags. They're included in all aspects of the process. And so through the inclusion piece, I'm teaching it to them. And I think about even my grandmother. My grandmother was an entrepreneur. She owned a bar. She owned a set of apartments, but she included me at the end of, when I stayed a summer with her, I watched her count her till. And that was inclusion. That was teaching me entrepreneurship. She didn't say, Eunique, you need to run a business. But guess what? I saw her counting that money out, and she threw me, rolls of quarters. And I was like, my gosh, how did you get all this money? And she's like, the bar. And it clicked for me. And so I'm teaching them through the example that I'm setting for them. Absolutely.
Okay. How do you speak to your children about the pandemic?
How do I speak to my children about the pandemic? I'm like super stressed about the pandemic every now and then. And, I'm just really honest with them. I tell them like, hey, it's scary. Like, mommy and daddy have never, no one's really experienced anything like this, but there was the Spanish flu. My son calls on Alexa all the time to get information, and my oldest son. And so he knows what's going on. But we tell them this is scary, but this is also why we're staying in the house. There are people who can do what they want to do, and they can go out and they can, be out here, as my mom would say, gallivanting up and down the street. But we're going to hang out in the backyard. We're going to hang out in the house. We're going to play culture tags, and we're really just going to be safe. And we're doing this to protect you. And we talk to them about what other countries are doing, what our thoughts on what our country is doing, but also letting them know that we have the opportunity to make it for ourselves, and that it's new, and that we're just all trying to figure it out together.
Yeah, that's great. So this one is, somebody wants to know, how can they hear more from you?
You still there, Lindsay?
Yes, I'm still there. Can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
Lindsay, I'm joining you while Eunique is reconnecting.
Okay.
Just reminding everyone, at 1 p.m. we have 2 sessions. social work, why everyone should be an activist. It's an IG live experience featuring first Marley Dias with our moderator, Ty Beauchamp. We invite you all to join in. You may remember Marley from 1000 Black Girl Books. She is incredible and dynamic, and I know with Ty, it will be a great time. Also at 1, for you, those of you who are not on Instagram, we will be featuring another What's Working session. And it is a conversation with Fair Count on the importance of the 2020 census for Black communities. Joining us will be Ed Reed, who is the program director at Fair Count, and then returning is Dr. Bisa Batten-Lewis, who is the president of BCDI Atlanta. She was with us Monday. We're excited to have her back. BCDI Atlanta partners with Fair Count. And so that will also be an incredible discussion. At 2 p.m., we will have our final homeschool lunch and learn. This session will feature another BCDI president. Dr. Davanya Govan Hunt is the president of BCDI Charlotte and CEO of Govan Hunt Staff Development. She will be facilitating a session on learning through the power of play. And then at 4 o'clock, we will wrap up the week with DJ G's, as we will host a dance party. And so we hope that you will be back at 4. Bring your children, bring the whole family, and let's get ready to just kind of party a little bit as we wrap up the week. Lindsay, we're checking now to see if Monique is back. Monique will be back with us. I didn't get to say when we opened, reminding everyone that the National Black Child Development Institute is celebrating 50 years. During those 50 years, we have been unapologetically pursuing our mission to improve and advance the quality of life for Black children and families through education and advocacy. We develop and deliver evidence-based, strengths-based, culturally relevant, and trauma-informed programs, technical assistance, and training. And with our national affiliate network, we advocate for and inform policies, legislation, and regulations that support equitable education, equitable services, and supports for Black children and families. Do we have Eunique? As we're continuing to wait, we will remind all of you who have been with us throughout the week, and for those of you who are just joining us, I shared at the top of today's programming that we are in the process, even as we are gathered today for these conversations, of delivering food, or not delivering, but making available food to 15,000 families in Chicago. And we're doing that in partnership with Trinity United Church of Christ, where the Reverend Dr. Otis Moss is pastor. We invite each of you to support that work by logging on to NBCDI.org and contributing to our matching campaign. Every dollar given, up to $7,500, will be matched. Eunique, welcome back.
Hey, sorry about that. I guess I'm dealing with some interesting internet connectivity. So I'll just be the window.
No worries, no worries. We can pick back up. I think the last question that I asked you was, how can we hear more from you? So where can individuals...
I'm here.
Yeah, well, I think the question is, how can individuals, participants hear more from you rather than just in this session, but outside of this session?
You can follow me on social media. So I'm Unique on Twitter. I put a lot of my thoughts there. I'm Unique JG on Instagram. And then if you want to get in touch with me, you go to my website, which is uniquejones.com.
Okay. This next question is from a participant. She says she and her family have been taking time to interview and learn oral stories from family members. And it's been a fun way to add a deeper component to the cousins happy hour that they have over Zoom. Have you done a similar project? If so, have you documented the stories and used it to spread joy to communicate family strengths?
Yeah, I have not, but not professionally, right? But I've started to document my dad's story. So my dad was like in Vietnam. He's had a lot of seniority working on Capitol Hill, was involved in a lot of inaugurations and really looked out for the original members of the Congressional Black Caucus and has a lot of stories. So I've been capturing his history recently, so much so though that I've actually been thinking about how to turn some of his stories into a documentary because there's just like so much there. So I've been documenting his, and I think that this COVID experience has really made me think more about what it looks like to capture the stories of our elders like now, right? And really record them and hear what they have to say and really learn from them. So I think what she's doing is great. And it's even a more of a reminder to me that I need to like accelerate my plans to do it even more so than I have been before.
Okay. The next question is, what would you say are the top 3 skills needed to be a successful business owner, and how do you continuously sharpen those specific skills?
Top 3 skills needed to be a successful business owner. Um, so I would say that you have to believe in yourself. Um, you're going to get knocked down. Things are going to be difficult. But if you can like really hone in on believing in yourself, that'll always propel you forward, pick you back up, help you to keep going. So belief in oneself is very important. You got to have like a strong work ethic. You can't be an entrepreneur and be lazy. Just to be very serious, like you could be one, but you won't be successful. And so you have to have a very strong work ethic. You have to be willing to sacrifice time, sleep, um, you know, whatever it may be to actually get the work done. And then you said successful entrepreneur, and there are a lot of successful entrepreneurs who don't subscribe to this, but I do. Be a good person. I think at the end of the day, like there are a lot of entrepreneurs out here, and they are interesting. You could be nice and successful at the same time. You can be a good person and successful at the same time. You can be humble and successful at the same time. You can control your ego and be successful at the same time. And I think that if you understand that, like you're a light, that you that what you have isn't your own, that'll help ground you and keep you there. And I would say last thing is just like watch your ego. A lot of people get in their own way. Their egos always having to be right, think you know everything, like know what you know what you don't know. I've been a victim to that, right? Thinking like I can figure it out, I can Google my way through this. No, get an expert, get somebody who has the skill set to help you, right? To pluck those holes so that you can focus on what your gifts are. My gifts are being creative, and coming up with big ideas and executing. There are certain things that I don't need to touch or be around. I need to be aware of it, but I don't need to be trying to figure out how to do it. And so when you get to a point, you can get help from those individuals, get it. But yes, watch your ego. Egos are like, there's a book out called "Ego is the Enemy," and that's the truth. So you want to watch your ego and stay out of your own way.
So, we're about to wrap up. I want to get through a few more questions. The next one is, what is the most important factor in balancing family and business?
The most important factor in balancing family and business. Um, I don't know the most important factor. Oh, your family comes first. There are a lot of people again who start off with families. They run a business. The business takes the priority. The family breaks up, right? Like the marriage is disrupted. And I think that you have to remember that it could, like, for me, nothing makes sense if my family isn't happy. Nothing makes sense if I'm out here and people are like, Eunique is amazing. She's great. Have you heard her speak? Oh my gosh, have you played culture tags? And my husband's like, what? Do y'all know the same person? So that making sure that what my family experiences from me is just as important as what the world experiences from me, whether that's through my gifts, through what I create or produce, through what I share. My family and your family comes first. And so just remember that. People will say things to you to try to help you, like, press past guilt at times. And that's not always good, right? So people would say to me, like, your kids are never going to remember that. They'll never remember that you missed that. And I'm like, I don't want to roll those dice. That's a set of dice I don't want to roll. And so you have to determine, like, what's important to you and what matters to you. But if you have a family, if you have a husband, a wife, whatever, a partner, that comes first. And then hopefully you all can work together to make sure that together the business can be successful. My businesses it's not you see me, but right now, as I'm talking to you, my husband's in my warehouse. He's in our warehouse working. And so it's a collaborative and it's a joint effort.
Okay, so I'm going to do about 3 more questions. This next question is, we talked a lot about culture tags. We talked about because of them we can. Can you touch on Dream Village and share a little bit about Dream Village?
Yeah, so Dream Village, the first 5 years of running my business were very stressful for me because I didn't have a really good village around me. Not because I didn't have a good village, but I had some alignments that really just weren't in my best interest, even though I thought they were. And so they really took a toll on me mentally, emotionally, physically, on my health, on my mental health. And when I finally I'm trying not to, trying to say this right, but when I finally removed myself from people who I just shouldn't have been aligned with, I really started to realize that it wouldn't have happened. I wouldn't have made certain decisions. Certain things would have never happened if my village was aware, right? Or if I was including my village. And if I was building my village at the same time that I was building my dream. And so I said, I wanted to make sure that I could create a space where people could build their dreams and their village at the same time. And so Dream Village is a space where like-minded individuals, a co-working space, but it's a very, it's not everyone can be a member. Everyone who's a member there is a village-minded person who believes that it takes a village. They have a dream. They're working towards that dream. And more important, they care about the other individuals who occupy that space in there. And so Dream Village is a space where people come to build their dreams in their village and to really just help one another and to make sure that if my dream is to be to launch a cookbook, hey, we're going to hold you accountable. We're going to ask you some questions. We're going to offer solutions, but we're going to work together collaboratively to help you get there. I'm going to allow you access to my network, to my resources, to my my intellectual capital, whatever that is. We share and exchange resources within that space so that we can help one another to really be who it is that they desire to be.
Next question is, someone would like to know, what are some recommendations you have in terms of resources such as books, podcasts, conferences that you would recommend to an entrepreneur, specifically a woman of color?
Let's see. I would recommend following people on like Twitter, or in like space, like mainly like Twitter, Instagram, who are where you want to be. People that you admire, people who I don't want to say look up to, but like, yeah, people you admire, people whose success you admire or the way they move you admire, follow them. I believe success leaves clues. So study the greats, study the formula. Everything is formulaic. Study the formulas. Really get serious about like your market research, and market research could just be paying attention. There's there's a podcast that I like called I think it's like How I Built This. That's really good. There's another I think it's like Hype Beast. There's a Hype Beast podcast that I listen to from time to time. I read a lot of biographies of individuals who I admire. I read their stories. I would recommend doing stuff like that. And yeah, just like, build your village. Like, be a resource as much as you want somebody else to be a resource for you, and provide value to people before you, try to transact business. But the internet is amazing, especially during COVID. Like, Twitter is awesome. Like, get you a Twitter account. If you're on Twitter, get busier on Twitter, build a network on Twitter, follow some amazing Black women on Twitter. There are so many of them. I don't want to start calling out names because I'll forget half of them. But get on Twitter and get actively involved. And if you're already there, get more involved. But I created a relationship, or started a relationship with Bernice King off of a DM, off of sliding into her inbox on Twitter. And so I would say, out of all the platforms, really figure out how to leverage Twitter. I leverage Twitter more than any other platform. LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, to me, is king.
Okay, last question. Just to sum up a few questions.
Are you there, Lindsay?
Yes.
Okay.
Last question. This will sum up a few of the questions that have been asked in the chat box. Where can they find culture tags again? Where can they stay up to date with Because of Them We Can, as well as Because of Them We Can, the box?
So culture tags is at culturetags.com. Culturetags.com. Because Then We Can box is at botwickbox.com. So BOTWCBOX.com. You can also go to, because we might still have in stock. But yeah, go to Culture Tags, culturetags.com. We got a lot of fun stuff coming up, a lot of great announcements coming up about Culture Tags. So go there, study. If you feel like you weren't doing well when we played, I tell people all the time, well, you can use it as a study guide. But yeah, culturetags.com or becauseofthemwecan.com.
Okay. Thank you, Eunique. We are extremely thankful for your invaluable insight and uplift during this discussion. And participants, I'd like to thank you as well for joining us for our virtual Q&A discussion, a celebration of unity, the power of the family bond, as part of this year's National Black Child Development Week. Our next session is What's Working, a conversation with Fair Count on the importance of the 2020 census for the Black community, featuring Ed Reed. Also, check out our Instagram at NBCDI_ to be a part of an Instagram Live exclusive, which is why everyone should be an activist, featuring Marley Diaz. Until then, I hope you take care and stay well.